On lesson 6.10 in our Go Math book. We're learning about regrouping with zeros. The essential question today is, how do you regroup when there are zeros in the number that you start with? We're on page 317. The word problem says there were 403 cookies in the bakery. 159 of the cookies are sold. How many cookies were not sold? I'm going to make an H here and do 403. Those are the cookies that we started with. They sold 159 of the cookies. So let's go to the ones place. 3 minus 9. Can we do that? No, we can't. So we have to go next door, but I have a 0 here. I don't have anything that I can regroup. But I do have 400s over here. So before I can do my ones, I have to get something into that tens place. So I'm going to go to the hundreds. Instead of 400s, there will be 3. And instead of those 0 tens, we know that 100 is worth 10 tens. Okay, so all I've done is regroup here. I can't subtract anything yet. So now I go back over to my ones. 3 minus 9, I know I can't do that. But I can regroup now because I do have 10 tens here in the tens place. So now, instead of 10, I will have 9. And instead of 3 ones, I will have 13. And now I can subtract. 13 minus 9 is going to be 4. 9 minus 5 is 4, and 3 minus 1 is 2. The answer is 244. Math Talk says, describe another way that you could solve the problem. Well, we could have done a quick picture and done our regrouping that way, or you can just write your math problem like this. Let's turn our paper over and go to the top where it says Model and Draw. Miss Dean has a book with 504 pages in it. She has read 178 pages so far. How many more pages does she still have to read? So we have 504 minus 178. So when I look at this, 4 minus 8, there are not enough ones to subtract from. And since there are 0 tens, there's a 0 here in the tens place, we have to regroup 500s as 400s and 10 tens. We have to get something into that tens place. So that's our step 1. We are still not ready to subtract. Next, we have to regroup again. And we have to regroup 10 tens and 4 ones as 9 tens and 14 ones. Once we do that, then we have enough in the ones place, and we can do 14 minus 8 is 6. Step 3 is to subtract the tens. We have 9 tens left, and we're going to subtract 7, so that's 2. And then we subtract the ones. We have we subtract the hundreds. We have 4 hundreds minus 1 equals 3. And the answer is 326. So the thing to remember here is that if we have a 0 in the tens place and we don't have enough ones to subtract, we have to go to the hundreds place, regroup the hundreds and tens so we get something in the tens place, and then we can regroup again so we can have enough in the ones place. So 308 minus 259, so I can see that there's a 0 there. Let's see if we need to regroup. 8 minus 9, can we do that? No, we can't, but we have a 0 here. So we have to regroup these two first. Instead of 300s, we have 2, and instead of 0, we put those 10 tens there. Okay, that's our first step. We still don't have enough in the ones place, so we have to regroup again. Instead of 10 tens, we'll have 9, and instead of 8 ones, we'll have 18. 18 minus 9 is 9. 9 minus 5 is 4. And 2 minus 2 is 0. Now, we don't have to write that 0 there. If you write it there, you're not wrong. But since we're done with our math problem, we don't have to put that 0 in there. 755 minus 438. 5 minus 8. Can we do that? No. So we can go next door, and we have a number there. So instead of 5, we have 4. And instead of 5 ones, we have 15. 15 minus 8 is 7. 4 minus 3 is 1. And 7 minus 4 is 3. So we only needed to regroup one time here. 801 minus 375. So I can see that there's a 0 here. We'll see if we need to regroup. We have 1 minus 5. Can we do that? No, we can't. And we have a 0 here, so I know that first I have to regroup here. So instead of 8 hundreds, now I have 7. And instead of 0 tens, I'm going to slide 10 tens over there. Now I have to regroup so I can subtract in my ones place. So instead of 10 tens, I will have 9. And instead of 1 1, I will have 11. 11 minus 5 is 6. 9 minus 7 is 2. And 7 minus 3 is 4. 426. Go to your next page. And here on the top, you have 9 examples where you are going to be subtracting. Some of these you will regroup just the ones and the tens. Some of these you will regroup the tens and the hundreds. And some of these you will have to do both of those. So pay attention if you have a 0 in the tens place. Down at the bottom, it says first solve for the difference, then use addition to check your work. We can do our subtracting, and then we can add to see if we are correct. That's what we're going to do today. So 304 minus 138. 4 minus 8. Can we do that? No. So I go next door and I see I have a 0. So I have to get something here in the tens place so that I can regroup. So I'm going to the hundreds. Instead of 3 hundreds, I have 2. Instead of 0 tens, now I have 10 tens because I'm sliding that 100 over. Now I need to regroup so that I can subtract here in my ones place. So instead of 10 tens, I will have 9. And instead of 4 ones, I will have 14. And now I can subtract. 14 minus 8 is 6. 9 minus 3 is 6. And 2 minus 1 is 1. Now we are going to be turning this around so that we can check to see if we have the correct answer. We're going to make an H right here to keep our numbers organized and in the right place. So when you add to check your subtraction, you start with your bottom number, and that goes up. So 166. Your middle number slides over. 138. Okay, that slides over. So now we're going to add, just the opposite of what we did over here. And if we are correct, we're going to get the number that we started with. So 6 plus 8 is 14. So we put the 4 down, and the 110 goes in the tens place. And 6 plus 3 is 9, and 1 more makes 10. So we put the 0 down and put the 1 up here. And 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. And we did get the number we started with, 304. So let's subtract here on number 14, 905 minus 756. 5 minus 6. Can we do that? No, we can't. So we go next door and we have a 0. So I have to get something here. So we're going to regroup. So instead of 9 hundreds, we will have 8. And instead of 0 tens, we will have 10. That's our first step. Now we have to regroup again so that we have enough in our ones place to subtract. So instead of 10 tens, we will have 9. And instead of 5 ones, we will have 15. So 15 minus 6 is 9. 9 minus 5 is 4. And 8 minus 7 is 1. So now we're going to check to see if we did that correctly. Let's make an H here. So the bottom number goes up. So 149. The middle number slides across, 756. And again, if we did it correctly, when we add, we will get the number that we started with. 9 plus 6 is 15. So put the 5 down and the 1 goes up. 4 plus 5 is 9. One more makes 10. There's our 0 and the 1 goes up. And 7, one more makes 8, one more makes 9. And we did get the same number, 905 right there. Okay, turn the paper over. We're going to do some problem solving. Number 15 says, Miguel has 125 more baseball cards than Chad. Miguel has 435 baseball cards. How many baseball cards does Chad have? So we know Miguel's number, and we know that Miguel has 125 more than Chad. So let's make an H. So we know Miguel's number, 435, and he has 125 more than Chad does. So Chad's number is smaller. So if we want to figure out Chad's number, will you add or subtract there? Because Chad's number needs to be smaller. So put either a plus sign or a minus sign here, and then do the work. Put your answer here. Number 16, Claire has 250 pennies. Some pennies are in a box, and some are in her bank. There are more than 100 pennies in each place. So how many pennies could be in each place? There are many different correct answers here. There is not just one correct answer. But we do know that Claire has just 250 pennies. You can't get a number that's bigger than that. If you do, you've done something incorrectly. So Claire has 250 pennies, and some of them are in her box and some are in her bank. And there are more than 100 pennies in each place. So let's pick a number that's more than 100, but that's going to leave more than 100 to be in her bank. So let's say, I don't know, let's say 120. That's more than 100, right? So if she has 120 pennies in her box, how many pennies are in her bank? So we know that she has 250 in all, and she has 120 pennies in a box. So if we take those and put those into the box, how many pennies does that leave for her bank? You need to tell me whether you're going to add or subtract there. And then down here, I need you to write a complete sentence or sentences that tell what did you do here? How did you figure that out? We could have chosen a different number from 120. It just had to be more than 100. We could have said 110 or 114 or 138. We could have picked a lot of different numbers here. But we had to end up with a number that was more than 100 that would be in her bank also. And the last one, number 17, there are 403 cats and dogs at the pet fair. There are 227 dogs. How many cats are there? So we're going to make an H here. So we know the total number of cats and dogs. There are 403. And then they tell us how many dogs there are. So the other animals have to be cats because there are only cats and dogs. So what will you do over here to solve that? And go ahead and do your work and then find your answer here and fill in the dot. When you have completed all of that, your assignment is done.